been forced to evacuate. Rob Israel and Joseph K. have been separated into their own caves where they can only communicate through Skype, so the podcast sounds like shit. Thanks, Trump. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, dude. We're going to talk about Minority Report, the Tom Cruise movie from 2002.
Yeah.
Starring that guy seen in movies. Starring Colin. No, what's his name?
Colin Farrell.
I was gonna say Colin Quinn from that TV game show.
Yeah.
Former Saturday Night Live news guy.
Remote control.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, Minority Report is a Steven Spielberg movie that came out in 2002, and it starred Tom Cruise and Colin Farrell, and also Max von Sydow, who just died.
Samantha Morton.
Yep. And it was based on a short story by Philip K. Dick, and his work has been made into a bunch of great movies. His work was the basis of Blade Runner and Total Recall and Paycheck and
I, Robot him?
No, that's Isaac Asimov.
Okay.
But Philip K. Dick did a whole bunch, a Scanner Darkly, that rotoscoped one from Richard Linklater.
He wrote books. The movies are based on his books, right?
Yes.
They're not. Yeah. Wasn't he already dead?
Oh yeah, he died a while ago. He was like certifiably crazy, but I've read like almost all of his books and short stories, and some of them were just amazing. There's a book he wrote called Ubik, which they keep threatening to make into a movie that was just a great book. And then he wrote some that were just kind of okay. But a lot of them got made into movies, and they're all like super paranoid and matrixy in the sense that you don't know what's real and what's not real. And they're very like druggy kind of movies, and they're science fiction, but like in a weird sort of way. And Minority Report checks all those boxes.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I forgot Max von Sydow was like the, spoilers.
Yeah.
Max von Sydow is the main bad guy in the movie.
He is.
Spoilers.
Yes.
But he's like the nice old man in the beginning, like the founder. But then he's the type of villain that's like he's not really. It's like the guy who had good intentions.
Yes.
But like did something horrible to get to, and probably he's done other horrible things to get. It's a weird. Okay, so the whole plot of the movie revolves around. Basically, it's 2055 or something. I think that's the year it's supposed to be, and it's only in one location. It's right. It's not the whole country, because they're talking about how they want to expand it, and sell it, so the whole country does this.
Yeah, it's a pilot program. It's in the future. So like Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, all of that is kind of one big city. And they've piloted it there. And they have three, in the film, they're like three mutants, and they can predict. They have limited prediction powers.
They're precognizant.
They're precognizant. They're called precogs. And they have a new department called precrime. And the idea is that they can see the future to some capacity, and they can arrest you before you commit the crime.
Right. Some people would call it a thought crime, but they are, with the combined three, the woman being the most powerful of them, the precogs, with the combined three of them, basically it's like their future is inarguable. Like,
yes,
if like the three of them commit and everything, it's like I don't know how they were able to prove that this person was going to kill somebody. I think they show you in the beginning with one guy who is about to. Again, you don't know, but like he had a knife and his wife was cheating on him.
Yep.
And they literally wait for the moment where he pulls a knife. They don't just show up and arrest him. Like, knock on the door and be like, hey, you're going to commit a crime. You're arrested. They literally have to wait until he has like the weapon in hand. And then they can come in and say you're arrested for basically they basically count them as you murdered the person.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's like, well, you didn't murder the person.
Well, that was the thing. The first, I think it's 14 or 15 minutes of the movie really have nothing to do with the movie. It's like a little vignette before the movie begins that shows you what the world is like.
Right.
And it is amazing. If you don't have a lot of time and you just want to watch the first 15 minutes of this to kind of get a feel of the movie, you can watch the first 15 minutes, turn it off and go about your life, and you'll have like a nice little story out of it. But it shows you so clearly the crux of the problem is that this guy has a knife and he's about to kill his cheating wife, and they arrest him. And they basically put him in a virtual reality prison. They just kind of like knock him out. And his argument as they're about to put him in this virtual reality prison is, but I didn't do it. I wasn't going to do it. And they're like, well, you were going to do it. We know you were going to do it. And he's like, no, but I wasn't. And the whole premise is like, you better be goddamn sure that he was going to do it, or else like you're arresting people for almost doing something.
So the first beginning of the movie is Samantha Morton's character. She was recently on The Walking Dead. She played a character called Alpha.
Oh, that was her.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on that show, but I watched it enough to see Alpha, and she was pretty crazy on it. But I love the first line in the movie. You see like the milky tub that the three of them are in.
Yep.
Camera closes in on her and she just goes, Meda.
Yeah.
It's super corny. And then like they have like this, like it's a little ridiculous. I'm like, do they have to have all this? So like they have these three precogs are basically like slaves. They never are, it's not like they could get out and live a life. They are 24/7 in a kind of euphoric state. They can still see but they're basically slaves. They can't they're not living a life.
No.
They're in a prison also, which shows you how fucked up it is. They're not relying on a technology. They're relying on empaths or people, and they're enslaving them, basically against their will. I mean, and but I love the process. It's I guess there's these wooden marbles that are engraved. I love the pageantry behind the whole thing. It's can't just be a thing on a screen. It says this person's gonna kill somebody. This person. It's hold on, we gotta wait for the ball. Let's wait. Gotta engrave the ball.
It's super ritualistic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very ritualistic. And then Tom Cruise, which this movie I almost positive, I could be wrong, but I feel like this movie started a very kind of annoying trend that Marvel kind of took to the next level, the MC universe with Tony Stark, the 3D modular screen. Tom Cruise puts on these weird kind of SMM-ish gloves.
It's like the Nintendo Power Glove.
They're on 2 fingers on each hand. And he's a conductor, and they're oh, I love watching him do this. And he moves the screen around. And it's it's all this 3-dimensional. And what I love about this movie, because now I realize it is 2002, not 2005 special. They come a long way. 2002, 2005 is a big difference. But they use the movie's is shot with a grain filter. The movie's super grainy. It was Steven Spielberg was on that grain filter kick. He did Saving Private Ryan, which I think was 90% grain. Like,
Right? Yeah, I can see that.
it was like all grain half the time. Like the battle scene in the beginning is like all grain footage. It's a good way to cover up like, you know, CGI effects that are like good but not today's
Not quite
level.
there.
It makes the movie not. It makes it a little more stylish that you don't. You know, it's not like episode 2 when like Yoda and Obi-Wan are walking on this clearly very blue screen. Like,
Yeah.
the characters look like they're there. Like, obviously things are fake, but the special effects I think hold up pretty good.
Oh yeah. I think they held up really well. I will say that like it was weird because every once in a while they didn't, and it was pretty noticeable, but that only served to emphasize how good the majority of the movie was.
So yeah, they arrest that, and then you find out, like, you know, they show you the whole thing. And they basically put all the prisoners in this like weird like chamber, like,
yes,
kind of like, do you remember that movie Demolition Man?
Oh yeah.
Which was strange that they would Demolition Man, they would put the prisoners in like cryogenic sleep so they could wake up in the future and be alive. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, like, how is that a jail sentence? They get to travel in time.
Right.
Who's this guy? The guy who like runs the prison. He played.
Oh yeah.
He played the Mirror Face, or what was his name on an Watchmen TV series?
Yeah. I know that's who it was. He was pretty good. He's like a super effective character player. I forget his name.
He's like a guy. He's in a wheelchair, but you know, he's kind of creepy. But like, he's the one that kind of runs. He monitors all the prisoners. Oh yeah, Tim Blake Nelson.
Okay, yeah.
And he played Hourglass. Is that it? Hourglass?
Yes.
Yeah. Or
yes. Looking Glass. Well, there is a lot going on in the beginning. I do want to throw out 2 things before I forget them. Yeah, the precogs were named after 3 crime writers: Agatha Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle, and Dashiell Hammett. And so I thought that was kind of like a cool little Easter egg of sorts. And the second thing is those the screen, the composing of the screen that Tom Cruise kind of started, that this movie kind of started that trend of near future technology. Steven Spielberg brought in like 15 pretty famous thinkers to talk about what the world would look like in about 50 years. And some of them were really famous, like Stuart Brand, who's a pretty famous futurist, and Douglas Coupland, who wrote that book, Generation X. And they all kind of got together and they built an 80-page script of what the world would look like. And not much of it made it into the film, but it kind of seeped into the background of like, well, this is how people would drive, and this is what people would wear, and this is what people would be doing. And that kind of stems from all that thought. They put together like about a week's worth of work of all these really well-known people to build that. I thought that was kind of a cool thing because the movie does have a really recognizable aesthetic that was pretty influential later on.
Well, you introduced the other characters, and Tom Cruise is like, you see him like he's addicted to some drug or something.
Yeah.
And this is where you see a lot of references to eyeballs through the movie. The drug dealer has like no eyes.
Right.
It looks so fake, though. That's probably the worst special effect. Like, his eyes have like, he says something about, he says like, in the blind, the one-eyed king rules them all, or something.
Yeah, he's like, in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And it's a really cool scene. Like, yes, the effects are terrible. It looks like a Clive Barker low-budget movie.
The eye holes are bad.
Yes, but the scene, like, he says that, and then they pan to Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is in the shadow, and so he looks like he has only one eye. And that kind of is one of the early mentionings of eyesight and being blind, and the whole movie has a lot of references to eyeballs, to eyes, and to seeing. And I mean, the movie's about predicting the future, so I guess it makes sense. But it is a thematic quirk.
You find out that he's like his son died or was killed,
Kidnapped from a public swimming pool,
and he's like doesn't really deal. He's I guess divorced or separated, but he lives on his own.
Yeah.
They show the future, the car. I don't like the car design personally. They look like backwards cars to me.
Looks a little Fifth Element to me.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool. Like they're like self-driving. They basically like the highways like go side diagonal, like the magnetic to the wall. I mean that's like a cool scene in the movie when he crashes through the yoga studio. And he kind of lands upside down, and all these women are like walking around, like with their heads between their legs. But like, so he finds out that like he's basically being set up. Yeah, go ahead.
No, early in the movie, after we get an idea of what the movie's about, you quickly find out that like Tom Cruise is being set up because it's revealed that he kills someone that he doesn't know, right? Like that happens pretty early in this film.
Well, you meet Colin Farrell, and he's like a upper head guy who's coming in, who's like an investigator, and I don't think Max von Sydow's either too keen on this guy either. There's like the police too. It's funny, Max von Sydow's so good in this. I always thought, like he was such a good actor, and he's like one of those guys who would show up and he would elevate the movie. This is one of these people. Like it doesn't matter if the movie was good or bad. If he was in it, he's gonna make it better. And I always found it bizarre that they brought him into Force Awakens. And they made it. You thought he was going to be this like important character in the beginning, and he has one scene in the movie, and he's killed. He's never referenced again. He's never brought up. I think we'll save that for our once Rise of Skywalker is on like Disney Plus. Maybe we'll do like a review all three movies as one thing or something. But
that'd be fun.
I thought it was like a waste of an actor. Like, why would you get someone like that for something so minute? Like, it's, it made no point. It had no purpose. But like, he's great in this movie, and it's like you find out that they're basically trying to like make this program, the Minority Report. Like, there's been no murders supposedly in this area for like 15 years or something. As long as the program's been going. Yeah,
it's like 30 years or something. It's a long time.
It's only 15, I think.
Is it? Oh yeah.
Because they're not, the precogs are only like in their 20s. Like they were like taken in as kids.
All right. Yeah. To be fair, I did go back and reread this story, the Philip K. Dick story, a couple days ago. And some of that may have like seeped over in my head. But yeah, that sounds more right, what you're saying.
So the program's only been going on for like a certain amount of years. I think it actually is only 6 years. I don't think it's like as
okay.
But there hasn't been any murder in that time period because they were able to supposedly in this area stop. Like, my whole thing though is, okay, you nationalize this like whole program. You make it like the whole United States now uses precrime. They're not gonna restrain the precogs.
Well, they were saying like
precogs.
There's a scene in the beginning where they say, I'm going to butcher the specifics here, but they basically say like, look, the precogs can see about 2 weeks into the future, and most of the murders we have a good like week or two worth of notice on. But every once in a while we get these red balls, and those are crimes of passion where there's no premeditation, and they're tougher. But the whole idea that people could stop crime before it happened made it so that people just stopped committing crimes because they knew they'd be caught.
Right. So
yeah.
You live in it's kind of a weird police state. I mean, I don't know if we'd say it's fascist or it's more just like police state. I don't know. I don't know if it's fascist. It's just totalitarian. Like, would you say?
Yeah. Well, it's weird. Like, it rubs against our nature of being punished for something you didn't technically do. Yeah.
Right.
You know, because like the guy at the beginning, he never killed his wife, but he got arrested for killing his wife. Right? Like,
he did have the knife in his hand.
Yeah.
And they waited on him. Well, you don't normally hold a knife after you find out usually you hold the big butcher knife when you find out the person cheating on you or whatever.
But like, think about like every day, maybe not now because of the Trump virus, but prior to this, every day someone probably got run off the road or like someone cut in front of them and they had a gun in their glove box and they felt like pulling out that gun and popping the guy in the head, but they didn't do it. Like, would they have been, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, I'm not defending this.
Yeah.
This is like even though the world looks kind of nice, it's a total dystopian future.
It is.
There's like a scene when like so we'll just jump the gun on the plot real quick. So basically, Tom Cruise gets some fights with the new guy and like the Colin Farrell guy, and then like there's some conflict there. And then he finds out like basically he is gonna murder somebody, so there's a ball for him.
Yeah.
And so basically he's on the run, and they show him what he does. One of the first things he does, he gets his eyeballs removed.
Yes.
Which is like a really gross scene. Let me go get my phone because I want to get that actor he's the guy who removes his eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like a famous actor who always plays a kind of a sleazebag.
Okay. While you're looking that up, I'll point out that there's a ton of similarities between this and Total Recall in the movie, at least. And just because, like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger character in Total Recall, he got forced into a situation where he had to run for his life, and then he had to get these body modifications done, and it feels a lot like that. Spielberg was originally going to make this as a sequel to Total Recall. He was going to repurpose Minority Report and just make a sequel to Total Recall, but they changed that idea pretty early in the process.
Probably a good idea.
I think so, yeah.
Total Recall was like a hard R, like gory.
It was dirty.
Sci-fi horror movie. Yeah, it had nudity in it. And this is like a hard PG-13, but like still like family friendly to a point that like your 9-year-old could watch it and you're not like covering your eyes ever really. I mean, there's some but Peter Starmore, that's the guy's name.
Okay.
In that scene, he's like the doctor. You find out like he specializes in like replacing eyeballs basically, and you find out. I like Tom Cruise character's like, well, I want to keep the eyes, and the guy's like, why keep them? And he's like, oh, my mother gave them to me. And you find out, well, one, it's to hide because they have scanners for like eyeballs like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They have like these like the cops send these like little spider droids out to like scan eyes, and it's just such a gross scene though, because like the doctor's office, it's just some like random apartment, and it's like it's a gross scene. Like he's gross, he's like sniveling, and then like his assistant's this woman who's literally just finishing taking a shit clearly and did not wash her hands. And she's gross. She's got this big berry on her face. Like it's just funny. It's like the whole thing is like kind of played for laughs some way. You find out, I'm surprised the guy actually did the job right for him because you find out Tom Cruise basically sent him away to jail years ago for like lighting people up on fire, like actually committing crimes, not thought crimes, but literally committing the crime.
Yeah, real crimes.
But I don't know. I guess the guy, he says like he was able to stay out of trouble in prison and he learned a new trade, so he kind of thanked him. I guess I don't know. But he kind of fucks with them because like he tells them like where the bathroom is and all stuff, and you can tell he totally set him up because like it's like the fridge has this like old ass sandwich in there. Like he does the operation. He tells him basically you could not take these off because you will go blind. You have like a 24-hour window.
Right.
You have to like keep, and it's just a gross scene. Like when he goes to the fridge and you see like I love it. He grabs like everything wrong. He grabs the rancid sandwich. He grabs the rancid milk. Like the guy left him a fresh, beautiful, fresh sandwich for him, and a jug of fresh milk. But he grabs it.
It's a really cool scene in the sense that like the at the beginning of the movie, everything seems so futuristic and sleek and modern, but there is this alive, dirty undercurrent. Like there are these doctors operating out of apartment buildings, and there are like these eyeless drug dealers prowling the streets. And so, I mean, there is like a weird, almost like Twin Peaksy kind of underground that you don't see, that you wouldn't see normally, but that's always there.
The world is not that great.
Yeah.
The world is not that great. It shows you that like there's still poor people, there's still areas that are run down, there's still areas that do not look good. Even in this future, in this perfect world, supposedly, it's not perfect at all.
Right.
There still are crimes committed. There's still illegal activity committed. It's just, I guess they're preventing people from killing each other. I don't know if they're preventing people from selling. They're not preventing people from selling drugs or I don't know insider trading or something. I mean, I don't know, like where these crimes. Like, do they prevent rape? I mean, do they prevent like?
I think it's just limited to murder. I think it was a fluke of those precogs. They happen to be mutated in a way where if they were kept in that milky chamber, then their thoughts could be interpreted. What?
Yeah. They're all linked together.
Yeah.
So one of the other things is well, obviously there's all that, the cops are going after him. They let out like these spider droids. Actually, one of the gross scenes is like the spider, and you wonder if like his eyeball ever really worked after that, the one eye, because the spider like scans his eye and he's like, like it's not supposed to be exposed.
Right.
But you see like everybody in these like kind of slums or whatever, shitty, typical New York City apartments, really. You see like everyone's kind of used to this. Like the spider droids come in and just you see like a couple fighting, and the spider droids they stop what they're doing. Real quick. The spider droids go away, and they go back to fighting like it's normal. They're just like obviously this has happened before. This is part of their life. The cops will come in and search a place, and you just go along with it. They make it an deal with it. And obviously the people are used to it. There's some cool fight scenes, some ridiculous action scenes. With like jetpacks but there's a part, obviously Tom Cruise starts to find out more about, he's like, I don't even understand why, like, I'm not trying to kill somebody. Why am I trying to kill a person I don't know? And he meets a woman. Like he ends up in this place, like a florist.
Mm-hmm.
There's some like sci-fi elements, like the plants like grabbing him, which is like a little weird. But I don't know. The lady, like, what we call her character, Exposition. Exposition is the character.
Yes. Yeah.
She has a little more inside information about the precogs, basically. Or she's like the woman that helped like create it or something, like.
Well, she fills in kind of the background as to like, well, these people. I guess you don't really realize up until then that maybe these people had lives or family members or that they had a story of their own,
Right. And you find out a story too about like how the main one, the girl being the most powerful one, not the twin, that Are they all related? I guess they're not all related. They just.
I think the two males are twins, and she's not related to them.
Yeah, well, obviously they're twins.
Well, yeah.
It's not Patty Duke or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Identical cousins.
So you find out that like she was taken away the mom was on drugs, but then you find out more information how like the mother tried getting the kid back. He finds out that like obviously what's his face killed that woman.
Yeah.
But he ends up in an apartment in some scene, and there's like all this evidence is left there. Or would they call it an orgy evidence, or like there was a word they used where they said that it's a clear sign of a setup. No one or just leave like obvious photos. Like he sees like a picture of his kid and like other kid, and like this guy comes in, and you could tell he's like wants to be killed or something.
Right.
And then he eventually explains to Tom Cruise. Well, Tom Cruise is about to kill him or something, and he doesn't, which shows you that the precog is wrong, that there is a flaw in the system. Given a chance, people will choose not to kill. But, like, I mean, obviously not everyone has a dramatic moment where they can make that choice. Like
well, that was the difference is like the guy in the beginning of the movie, the husband who was going to kill his cheating wife, he didn't know that precrime knew he was going to kill his wife. So he was kind of marching blindly into a future, really unaware of what he was going to do. It was a crime of passion. He may have killed his wife, he may not have, but he didn't know. But Tom Cruise, in a weird coincidence, had access to the pre-crime report. He knew he was supposed to kill his wife, and by having that knowledge, he could change his future. Like the other guy, he didn't have access to the pre-crime report. He didn't know he was supposed to kill his wife, so he had no ability to change his future. But Tom Cruise could change his future.
Like they could, reality prevent the murder. How do I say this? I mean, I guess in the end they still be guilty, but like you could say like I don't know. They're stopping a murder either way, but they're treating it as if the person committed murder, so they're charging basically murder.
Right. Well, there's also where the title of the movie comes from is that you find out that there's a majority report, meaning that the vision that's presented as evidence is kind of a meshing together of the two most common reports. And then you realize, well, wait a minute, if there's a majority report, that means there's a minority report, which means, that there's an alternate, that maybe two of the precogs say, well, Tom Cruise is going to kill this dude, and one of them says, well, he's not. And that kind of that makes the whole thing a little shakier,
Yeah, they even say that earlier, like how they may disagree sometimes. They kind of like laughed it off almost.
Right.
So then you find out that like the guy was like, just kill me, man. Like, obviously he was bribed. He didn't kill his son. You don't know who killed Tom Cruise's son.
No.
It happened. You don't know who the person who did it. You don't know if that person is even dead or like anything. And it was a total setup. The guy was paid to basically, he's like, just kill me. Like, he's like, so my family gets the money or whatever. It was like a desperate guy who obviously needed to give money to his family or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I guess like Colin Farrell like shows up or something, and that's kind of like they were enemies, but now they're not. And
because Colin Farrell knows that Tom Cruise is getting set up. He doesn't know why or by whom, but he's like, no, you're getting set up. I know this.
You think Colin Farrell's like kind of like corrupt, but he's not. He's like just doing his job, and he takes it very seriously. Yeah, he's great.
No, but I think he's honorable, I guess would be the word.
Yes.
And he even says it too, like it's bullshit. The orgy of evidence. It's like it clearly shows that the whole thing was a setup. Like
Right.
you're being framed, and that's when like Colin Farrell, like, and that's obviously the big villain reveal. Like Colin Farrell goes to like talk to Max von Sydow and tell him everything, and that's when Max von Sydow shoots him.
Yeah. Quick.
And then Max von Sydow grows a wily mustache, and he's like,
yeah. Yeah. Starts twirling it.
Yep. Oh, and then Colin Farrell. Oh, that was the other big plot I kind of screwed up. Was what's his face basically kidnaps the girl.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of Tom Cruise kidnaps Agatha.
Remember he almost loses his eyeballs?
Yeah.
So gross.
Well, so Tom Cruise kidnaps Agatha, and it's a weird scene because Agatha, we learn, is kind of like a weird orphan who was taken from her mother. And Tom Cruise's kid was taken from a pool. And so, like, there's a weird parallel there where Tom Cruise kind of goes off the rails because his kid was kidnapped from a pool. And then later on, to, like, remedy this whole situation, Tom Cruise goes and kidnaps a woman from a pool. You know, I mean, it's like a weird...
Circles.
It is. You expect Rafiki to come out and make a comment as to, like, how poignant the whole thing is. Yeah. So Tom Cruise is doing this, and by taking Agatha, by taking the one precog out of the pool, he puts all the precogs offline because they operate as a hive mind. And that's what allows Max von Sydow to kind of shoot Colin Farrell, because there is no precrime at that moment. And Max von Sydow, the bad guy, knows that. He knows that Tom Cruise has kind of deactivated precrime for a brief period of time.
So, yeah, because the twins they need her. They can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He's able to get away with the crime. So, but it's funny too, because like here's a person who clearly never moves ever, and now he's like they show her struggling to walk, but I would imagine she wouldn't be able to walk at all.
No,
like her muscles would be completely atrophied.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, guys, laying in a pool 24/7 probably not gonna do great for your muscle. You're gonna lose a lot of mass.
Yeah. Yeah. Just in the last 4 weeks of quarantine, I've like atrophied like 80% of my muscle.
I'm literally a gelatinous blob at this point. Yeah. It's cool because I can like slip through cracks.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Gained my gelatinous form. So she's struggling to walk, obviously, but and you know, she's there too when he confronts that guy, and she's like yelling, and she's like, I don't know, it's all dramatic. Right. Shit. So then you find out, I guess they're able to arrest Tom Cruise, though, right?
They come in and they arrest Tom Cruise. Well, Lara doesn't realize that Tom Cruise is being set up. Lara thinks that Tom Cruise is a legitimate bad guy, and she calls Max von Sydow and says, hey, he's right here. And then precrime comes in and arrests Tom Cruise, and they put one of those halo things on him, and you see him being slid into a chamber like with all the other murderers, and now he's in suspended virtual reality.
And that's when like the guy is like all happy, like, you get to join me or now. So while that's happening, obviously the plot, the ex-wife, you see the eyeball left for him.
Yep.
So he's able to like break into the place and confront. How did she get him out? I forgot. Like, what did she do?
Well, she realizes that Max. Okay, here's the. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. After they put Tom Cruise in prison, virtual reality prison with the halo, everything changes. And a real random series of coincidences happen, and the narrative structure of the film changes. And like for the last 20 minutes, Tom Cruise like narrates the film and stuff. But Max von Sydow kind of gives it away that he's the bad guy. And Lara goes into the jail with Tom Cruise's eyeball, and it's not really clear how she got it, but she gets it. Yeah, but when he was doing it, he drops one of the eyeballs down the drain, and I want to say he threw the other one away. I'm not even sure he should have had those eyeballs at the end. And there's a gun. Max von Sydow leaves all the weapon, like Tom Cruise's gun, to Lara, and so there's like a bunch of stuff happens. She goes into the jail, she gets him out, kind of like how Tom Cruise got Agatha out, and then Tom Cruise kind of scampers away and comes back to wreak revenge on Max von Sydow. And there's like a huge theory of thought that the movie really ends when they put Tom Cruise in prison, right? Like that's where the movie should end.
If you want to be.
Yeah, if you want to be, but like.
If you hate happy endings.
If you hate happy endings, but like, man, a lot of the real ending makes very little sense.
Well, not really. He does leave the eyeball for her in a thing. Now, I don't know how she would know to be like, oh, let me take this gross eyeball and use it to break into the prison so I could free him.
Right.
But she did. And, you can say, okay, if you want to be real critical, well, then you could say, yeah, the whole thing is a dream in the end. But a lot of movies do this shit, and you don't question it because you're watching a movie. And you just sometimes go, like when a character just randomly shows up and saves the day, and you're like, how did this person know to be there?
Yeah.
It's like the same. It's like when Han Solo shows up in the end of the Millennium Falcon, in the very, very end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And helps Luke out. He shoots Darth Vader's ship, and he's like, you got it. Go get him. Like, right. First of all, the fuck does Han know what's going on?
Yeah.
Why didn't he help her? I mean, it's one of these like movie things. It's all about the dramatic, like, it's like Hulk Hogan's getting beaten up, Macho Man runs out, hits the guy with a chair and saves the day. It's like, it's obviously just a very convenient writing exercise. It's a very convenient thing. We forgive it. But a movie like this, and like the guy wrote Total Recall, and the ending of Total Recall, we're left to believe you get this very heroic ending where
yes,
we haven't done Total Recall yet, right? I'm not losing my brain. We didn't do Total Recall, right?
No. We did. We talked about it, but we didn't do it.
Okay, we definitely need to do Total Recall. Maybe we'll do that one next if it's available on anything.
Yeah.
Because especially being that this is like they're similar. Like kind of, even though the style of the movies are different, but the writing is similar in some ways.
Yeah.
They have a lot to do with like messing with the mind in a way.
It's written by the same guy, and they're very, very similar movies.
But like in that end of that movie, Quaid basically saves an entire planet, reshapes the economy, like basically frees the mutants, brings.
He's like a messiah figure.
And you leave, and then they say in the end, what leaves it is like a woman says to his like girlfriend in the movie, or whatever, says like, I don't know, this is like a reference, like maybe he's dreaming, like it's part of his. He really did have a coma, or his brain really did have a stroke during the Total Recall. This movie, though, I feel like I don't know. I feel like the movie had a real ending, and I think I could see how you can look into that and see, like, if you want to be a little more jaded. I don't feel like the movie wants you to have a happy ending, and they exposed Max von Sydow's character. They showed that they were able to acquire the footage of, or whatever it is, from the Minority Report. They're able to get that footage from their brains or whatever. And they show him killing his mother, and they expose him at this big important gala event that's supposed to basically where he gets awarded, and they're gonna make precrime a thing. And that's when he confronts him, and that's what I say. Max von Sydow, it's like he's a bad guy, but he's like he's not like twirling mustache bad guy. Like
No.
basically lets him kill him in the end. He
Yeah.
basically lets him kill him in the end. I think does he kill himself or
I don't recall, but your characterization of him is spot on. He's like, he probably started out as a good guy and then went overboard, and then one day maybe woke up and was like, oh shit, I've become a bad guy, but I'm doing it for the greater good, so I'm like,
yeah, it's like so many people are alive today because of
right.
one horrible act that I did. The woman was a drug, in his mind, it's like, yeah, she may have been on drugs that moment, but I guarantee you, given the chance, she'd be back on drugs in a year. Like
Right.
that's probably what this guy's thinking. And whatever excuse he needs to validate why this girl needs to be kidnapped so his program can keep going.
Yeah.
And obviously he becomes a little more mustache twirling with setting him up and then killing Colin Farrell's character, knowing that he can't be caught with the
Yeah.
but at the end of the movie, he shows you like, okay, like obviously the bad guy. There is a grayness to him though. I wouldn't call him a black and white villain. Like not
Yes.
like I mean like a straight up like like I love doing evil because I'm evil.
Right.
Like they say it's like in Hunters where they talk about
Yeah.
bad guy, what you perceive as the bad guy thinks he's doing he or she is doing the good.
Yeah.
And vice versa, it's like, so basically, yeah, it's the whole thing gets disbanded in the end. The twins and her live in like some fucking cottage in the middle of nowhere, the
Yep.
precogs. Everyone's let out of jail.
Yep.
They just said the cops are going to watch some of them.
They all get pardoned. Yeah.
Some of them will be watched though, but that's like you can say that about anybody who's basically paroled or anyone that they are being watched their whole life. Like once you're in prison, it's like the system like is set up to have you go back basically.
Right. Well, they say, I mean, basically at the end, I mean, I guess the big theme is like, do you have free will? Can you make decisions, or are you kind of are you predestined to go down a certain path? I mean, like if you believe in free will, then pre-crime never should have happened, because up until the last second you can choose one way or the other.
So it's funny though you said that about the ending. Like, yeah, it's like it is a happy ending, and you could look at it because they do say the people that are basically put in there are given like a virtual reality or like a full. And the remember Breaking Bad? I told you we were talking about this earlier. I was telling you like spoilers for Breaking Bad. We could do an episode on Breaking Bad one day, but there's the ending of the show basically. There's some acts that are committed in the end that can be viewed as a little too convenient. Like, so Walter White was hiding on the like northeast, like he's hiding in like opposite end of the country, like not out, like real far away from Albuquerque.
Right.
And he gets discovered, or they find out that the cops are on his trail, and he's able to he's outside the bar or something, and he's able to catch the keys and start the car and drive to Albuquerque. He's able to get away from the cops.
Yeah.
And throughout that episode, he kind of goes in and out. He visits people. He sets it up. And he's able to set up and save the day. He's able to save Jesse. He kills a Nazi. He's able to kind of vindicate himself. He's able to Norm Macdonald, the lovable comedian Norm Macdonald, very very funny guy. He trolled everybody the night of the series finale of Breaking Bad, where he basically said that he called bullshit the whole thing, and he said that Walter White died in that scene when the cops came and shot him, basically trying to flee. The cop basically shot him. So when he catches the keys, he's actually dead. And it's kind of like Jacob's Ladder when you find out he's dead.
Yeah.
Once again, Jacob's Ladder, 30-year-old movie, but whatever. You find out the guy's dead the whole time. And the whole movie was just like him. It's like they say like I don't know where they get this shit, but because like how do you interview someone that? But I guess they maybe face step that you see your life flash forward. But like Tim Robbins is like basically dying on a hospital or like a gurney or table, basically seeing the future. So he kind of Jacob's Laddered Walter White, where he said Walter White really was dead, and he was kind of just envisioning it quickly in his brain before he died. This very like kind of heroic, where he's able says that like the way Walter White operates, he's able to like kind of go in and out, not get caught at all when he's back in Albuquerque, like when he goes back to that rich couple that kind of screwed him over years earlier. He's able to kind of go in and out of scenes, and like he walks through. He's like walking through walls or something. And obviously, all that's been disproven because the movie El Camino came out, and unless that is whatever, it doesn't even matter. It's all fiction. You could say whatever. So yeah, I could see that theory. I just lit a joint.
Sure.
Past the fucking bong dude. Yes. Yeah, man. Like, what if like Tom Cruise went to jail and you don't get a happy ending?
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Guys, in you always do. You miserable fuck. No happy ending for you, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a compelling theory. I don't know. I mean, like,
movies should not be escapism. They should be a window to our harsh reality, and it's miserable and sad when you watch them.
Well, I do like
any enjoyment whatsoever.
I think one of the things, like, I mean, we both like a lot of different kinds of movies, but a lot of the movies we've done that we both seem to like a lot have to do with stuff like this, that weird paranoia, what's real, what's not real, kind of a critique against society, a way the world is being run or governed. And I think this movie works really well within that genre. You could watch this, even though this and They Live and The Matrix are not really similar movies, they all feel thematically similar,
This movie kind of skirts the line where it's still like, it's Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg movie from early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was a popcorn movie. It's definitely more thoughtful than your normal popcorn movie.
Yeah.
It still fits in with like some of the wild chase scenes and fight scenes and like, big roller coaster ride shit. They literally have a roller coaster ride with the cars. But it is definitely a more thoughtful movie where you can like put it in a place like, I don't know about They Live, but yeah, something like where you could think about it, and it's definitely falls in line with one of those. It's definitely like one of those movies where people will reference, man, it's like fucking Minority Report, man. Like when people will be like, dude, the world's like Idiocracy, man, or like the world's like this, man.
Sure.
Minority Report's like one of those movies I'll get referenced like that. I've heard people make jokes, say like Twitter is almost like Minority Report. We're like,
no.
I mean, the joke is there's no need to have precogs predicting thing. You got people committing thought crimes every day on social media.
That's true.
Some people say dumb shit, and then there's some people who go on like Gab and say they're gonna shoot up a temple, and then no joke, 10 minutes later they go in and kill.
Right, that's what they do. Yeah,
and like. I mean, if only there was a way to stop the people like that. I don't know how you institute that. I think the reality is if you did that, you'd be arresting a lot of innocent people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or a lot of people who just are full of bluster is the word. Bluster. Yeah. 90% Twitter is bluster. It's like.
Oh, yeah, easily.
I get like. obviously, or even just social media in general. Like I've had trolls say horrible shit to me, and I'm just like curious. Okay, would you really say that to my face? I'm not like a tough guy, like we're gonna fight. I mean, like literally just on like an actual like I'm a human being, you're a human being. Would you really come up to my face and say that?
Yeah,
You know?
it seems super unlikely, but hey, there's who knows, right? I mean,
you know, social media has definitely proven there are people who will commit those acts, you know.
True.
But so we don't need a weird milk bath precogs. Like
right.
Guy who like watched them.
Yeah.
And remember there's like a guy who like monitored them. He was like kind of creepy.
Yeah. The whole setup was real creepy. I mean, it was very, very off-putting. Yeah.
I think they were trying to show you that this is not natural.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
With like the weirdo guy playing the fucking accordion. Like he had like a full-on, not accordion, he was playing like some kind of church cathedral. The Tim Blake Nelson character or whatever.
Yeah. I forget the instrument, but it again reminded me a lot of like Total Recall, where they went to this town and a lot of the people had mutated, and it was you could tell like there's probably a future in which there's going to be more of these people, but it's still kind of new. That's what the precogs seemed to me. Like there was going to be more of them eventually.
Yeah, this is like it's like X-Men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of like, it is a good movie. It's definitely a movie. I know when we were talking about doing a movie this week, I was like, well, let's find something streaming that we can both kind of catch up on. I was flipping through all the streaming services, and this one stuck out at me, and I was like, I really liked it back in the day. I wonder if it holds up. I think it held up really well. I think it's a good movie. I can see why it was critically acclaimed. And it's fun. It's like a mashup of like tech thriller, detective story, science fiction. I mean, there's a lot going on, and I think it's all real good.
That's a very like Total Recall reference to like when Arnold, for some reason, like when he goes to the airport, he's in like the fat woman suit, and he's like 2 weeks. Like it reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Save that for the Total Recall episode because I definitely could talk. I love that movie. I definitely appreciate. I think rewatching this, like I said, to me it always was kind of just like a main, not, and it's not a knock on it. It's just this is like popcorn summer movies.
Yeah.
And I thought this movie was, it's a Steven Spielberg popcorn summer movie. It's made for like everybody. It really is. I mean, you could, but I will say rewatching it and stuff, I haven't seen it like definitely probably haven't seen it since it was like maybe on HBO or something.
Right, yeah.
I didn't see it in the theater, but I think it, like you said, it holds up really well, and there's more to it than just like a stupid early 2000 summer blockbuster.
Yes, I agree.
It's definitely a more thoughtful movie. Obviously, yes, there's some tropes in it. There's things in there. There's obviously the bad guy and the reveal, which we've seen it a bunch of times. But everyone's really good in it. It's definitely I think it's one of Tom Cruise's better movies. Like,
oh yeah.
Like I feel like his character. I don't know. It's not like typical Tom Cruise movies. I feel like he was more of a different character in this movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm like. There's something about him. I remember when you brought up St. Bernard Report, and I was like, and it's weird. I don't hate him, but like I don't really have anything to talk about with him. I always found him kind of strange.
Oh, he's very strange, and the whole Scientology thing. But I'll tell you, he's made a couple movies that I've really liked. Like Minority Report, I loved, and his cameo in Tropic Thunder was amazing.
I don't like that guy.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I could see that. It was like, I guess it was the phenomena of seeing him.
It's a little anti-Semitic.
Well, the whole thing. I mean, the whole movie's like farcical in that sense. I mean, I don't want to say it's like, I don't know. That's a tough one to talk about because everything about that movie is transgressive. I mean, like the whole Yeah, well, yeah, it probably didn't. The Robert Downey Jr. character is incredibly transgressive. You know,
Somebody, he was on Joe Rogan,
yeah,
Robert Downey Jr., and they were talking about the character he plays, the guy who's in blackface the whole movie, because he's like,
yeah,
the joke is he's an actor. They were making fun of like actors like Daniel Day-Lewis. Supposedly, like Daniel Day-Lewis, the rumor is or whatever is that he becomes that character and he lives that way. Like when he was
right.
Abraham Lincoln, he was Abraham Lincoln or something. You know, he got shot in the head. You know, like Abraham. Um, no, but like the joke is he wants to play like Othello or something, so he
Right.
becomes he literally like takes like becomes black for takes something that makes permanently changes his complexion for a long time. So in the movie, he's a black guy, and it's done very well, but it's incredibly it can be viewed in like out of context. It's incredibly racist,
Oh,
regardless of
yeah.
what anyone says. Sorry, I know people are like, oh, people are too sensitive today. Okay, that's great. You know what? Whatever. People are allowed to be
Yeah.
upset. People get upset by dumb shit. And some people get. I think people are allowed to be upset by blackface. I don't know. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
valid thing to be upset about. So, but one of the funny. I know, call me crazy, right? But one of the. I guess I'm just a soy boy cuck, right? uh, but one of the funniest things was Rob Downey Jr. was on like Joe Rogan. They were talking about it, and he's like, "And I had some black friends who thought it was great," and I was like, thinking the thing that popped in my head was Rhodey doesn't count.
Right. Well, I thought,
She doesn't count, Robert Downey Jr.
I guess we're like going off but I thought, I don't know, the way I interpreted it, and I guess I probably should read about it or maybe consider it again, is that I thought that Robert Downey Jr.'s character was like kind of condemning that
Well, yeah,
thing. You know, like I didn't think it was like celebrating it. I thought it was like
they're not. They're
showing
not
that.
celebrating any of it. It's just the problem is it doesn't matter. It's still a visual.
Yeah,
And
that's yeah.
if somebody sees that and never saw the movie, they'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" It's like it involves too much explaining.
I think that may be it. It might be the Mother Night problem, where like if you, it doesn't matter if you're doing it for good. If you do it,
You're still doing it.
yeah, you know. I mean,
Now,
I guess that is
still,
yeah.
ha ha ha. Robert Downey Jr. is in blackface. You know, it's like, I mean, whatever. It's just like you can't. No, you can't. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be like, no, no, you don't understand. It's
What did we
actually
talk?
what?
We just talked about something like this because we talked about Mother Night a few times. What did we do? Do you remember what we talked about recently that was like this? That it was like
I don't. It was one of the movies we. I think it had to do with Hunters with Al Pacino's character being.
that was it. Yes, right.
Said,
That's exactly it.
regardless, it's like okay, it's like the heinous character that Mickey Rooney plays in
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
now. Let's say they released that in 2008, and they get whatever to play a Mickey, whatever character like that, and they're like, no, but this is actually like a joke on, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's still visually appalling. Like you,
Yeah.
you still have to explain yourself. And again, it's not. I'm not saying like burn it down. No one should be allowed to see it. I'm just saying
No.
expect blowback. Expect if you do something that is somewhat controversial,
Right.
some people are not going to like it. Some people will, and if you try explaining it, there's a good chance you might make it worse.
That's I think that's not the true danger, but that's like often the case.
Truly will be. Yes, I am sure there are some, as Robert Downey Jr. said, I'm sure there are some African American people or whatever that will looked at it and laughed and didn't care. And I'm sure there's some who will like, fuck this guy, fuck this movie.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do? You're gonna argue with them?
Right.
That's how, like I said, that's how I feel about the Tom Cruise character in that movie. I know exactly what he's doing. He's playing like a fucking frumpy, hairy, balding Jewish
Right.
asshole. Like,
Yeah, the character, the studio executive character.
or what Steve Hollywood as.
Yeah.
And it's funny
Yeah.
because he's Jewish and he's the one who made the movie, so whatever. Or he's half Jewish. He's a halfling.
Yes.
That sounds awful. Halfling.
I think we're going down a way wrong track.
Now I have to explain that. But I mean, like, I never liked that character. And I remember when they were like, we're going to make a movie. And it's not like I'm offended, like, because I'm a movie studio. Yeah. It's more like I know what they're doing, and it's a perception of a type of character. And that's how. And I've dealt with people who think that's what Jewish people are. I know this. So I don't like that character for that reason. So it's not one of my favorite Tom Cruise roles.
Well, I don't know. I did like it in the film. You know, I mean, obviously, I'm reconsidering it now.
Why?
Yeah. Well, that is a weird one. I mean, it's probably worth talking about more. But I liked Tom Cruise in. Well, I liked him in Oblivion. Strangely enough, I thought that was really good.
That's not a bad.
Yeah. And
another movie. Shit, I just had it in my brain. I forgot it. Oh, that was it. I was gonna say Tobey Maguire. What's it called? Something Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. You always picture the crying Tobey Maguire gif. Yeah. You know, the gif from crying.
Yeah.
I always love using that. And my other favorite gif from Spider-Man is it's one of those once you see it, you never look at it again, right? Mary Jane, Kirsten Dunst, swinging. Yeah. And it's clearly a mannequin of Spider-Man holding her.
Yeah.
And like once you see it, you never unsee it. It's just like this weird. It literally does look like she's holding onto a store mannequin in a Spider-Man costume. Okay, so Jerry Maguire was my dad. I remember when that movie came out. My dad said some weird comment, and I was like, he said like he called it the most like Scientology movie ever or something like. Which I don't really know, like underlying messages of Scientology, except for like they don't like medicine for like I don't know, like they think the mind shouldn't be like cured with medicine.
Well, is that Christian Scientists or Scientology?
Scientists, it's like medicine in general.
Yeah.
Scientology is like it has to do with like psychology and like. They don't like, they're like I remember years ago, Tom Cruise got into like a feud with, what's her name? Blue Lagoon actress, the famous.
Brooke Shields.
Shields. They got into like a big feud about like medicine, like, stuff to do with like taking things when you have like high anxiety and like, I can't name a bunch of them. And that's like one of the main core, but I only saw Jerry Maguire once. I don't know the underlying thing, but there's one funny thing about that movie. That it has nothing to do with the movie. Somebody made an art installation years ago of Jerry Maguire. It was a whole like studio apartment. The best way I can describe it, a whole studio apartment just built out of Jerry Maguire VHS tapes. A throne. I can look it up. You can Google it. Google Jerry Maguire VHS tape throne.
All right, let me see.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire. There we go. Yeah. Oh man, it's so insane. It's just made out of like, thousands and thousands of unsold Jerry Maguire VHS tapes. And it is just insane. Like, it is massive. Did you see this one?
Yeah. Jeez.
It's like, bury this shit in it with ET cartridges or something.
Well, yeah, I think I guess I want to like veer off the Tom Cruise retrospective.
he's always been an odd bird to me. Like I don't hate him. Like it's just like when you brought up Minority Report, I was like, I don't know if I want to talk about him. I don't really. I'm kind of indifferent. Like I remember liking Legend when I was a kid. I forgot he's in that. I never saw Top Gun. I never saw it. I think it's like one or two bits of it. I was more of an Iron Eagle guy. I was like I got like the low budget, the Hydrox of, I would call, like you would say, Iron Eagle is definitely the store-bought Oreos of airplane movies.
Yeah. I liked him in Edge of Tomorrow. He was great.
Was it Risky Business?
Oh, yeah. Risky Business.
Famous dance.
Yeah.
He's in The Outsiders. That's like one of his first roles. He's not in Red Dawn. Charlie Sheen, Red Dawn.
Yes.
There's a lot of their careers early on intersect a lot.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Like Oliver Stone, like he was pissed that Charlie Sheen got pissed that he started picking Tom Cruise over him in movies because like Charlie Sheen does Wall Street, he does Platoon, and he thought he was like his guy, but then like he skips him over for like Born the 4th of July, and it's like I swear there's another big Oliver Stone movie that Tom Cruise.
Did he do Days of Thunder? Was that Oliver Stone?
I don't know I know Days of Thunder, but I don't know if it was Oliver Stone. I never. Yeah. Eat Cocktail was another one.
Great one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow is pretty cool. That's another one of those that's the one with repeating, right?
Yes.
That's the what do you call it? Groundhog's Day movie.
Yes. They call it like
to it.
Yeah, they call it like Live. They retitled it Live. All I Need Is Kill.
Yeah, it's one of those weird movies that like have like two titles and like people like argue which is the right one. It's like what was that one? The Professional?
Yes.
Like that has another name. That gets used
it does, yeah. I forget it, but
yeah, another one was like it's Peter Jackson horror movie. I remember the real title. I forget the one that it's like something Dead Alive was the American title.
Yeah.
But it was called Brain Dead in New Zealand. It's just funny when like movies, and then people like argue it. But yeah, I do remember Edge of Tomorrow got changed to Live, Die, Repeat, and I think even like the Blu-ray like changed the name.
It did, yeah.
I don't know if that's a better name. It sounds more like Live, Die, Repeat sounds like a video game to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I like Edge of Tomorrow just fine. It's a little generic. I think it was based off a book or a manga or something, and that was called All You Need Is Kill, and I think that's probably a better title than either of them.
Yeah. I just he's one of those actors, and I hate using the term like last of a dying breed, Tom Cruise, but he's one of those actors that he's like Will Smith, and some of these like brand names that are. They're fading a bit. Like not everything they do is a guaranteed hit anymore. You know, when Minority Report came out, that was like the apex of his career, and he was doing the Mission Impossible series, which I never got into those movies.
They're fine.
I saw the first one in theater, and I never liked watching them after that. I was just like, I don't know.
The John Woo one was really good, but they're just kind of confusing and convoluted and.
Yeah, I don't know. They just like it's fine. You can he's a straight. I don't know. I always found him just kind of odd, but he is one of those people that like when you do a Tom Cruise movie, you do a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah.
Like, and I've heard stories about him how he would like basically convert people to Scientology. Like, Jason Lee did. What's that with Vanilla Sky?
Oh yeah.
And basically left a Scientologist. It's like you come in, you come out.
Yeah.
What was that movie? We'll wrap this up. But what was that Eddie Murphy movie? Something. it's like he plays two roles. He plays like the Eddie Murphy character, but then he plays like the nerd that they kind of hire to like pretend to be him.
Oh yeah, you're not thinking of the Golden Child, right?
No, Golden Child's the mid '80s, and that's the movie that I forgot to bring up when we talked about the Mandalorian.
Right.
Golden
Yes.
Child to me, people made references to all these other things in the Mandalorian, but I will say if there's one movie that the Mandalorian completely rips off, it's the
Yeah, the Golden Child.
movie, The Golden Child. Baby Yoda is that little girl. The little Baby Yoda is that little magical character. And he's like the kind of bounty hunter character who doesn't really want this, but he has it now. And
I don't remember the Eddie Murphy movie. I know which one you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of it.
They call it Mindhead.
Yeah.
There's like the whole movie is like they just totally make fun of Scientology. And all right, well, I don't know. I kind of went off on a tangent, but that's fine. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
YSGOAT. Yeah, goats. You can handle that.
There you go.
You can handle the tangents. So yeah.
Definitely worth watching. You're stuck at home on the quarantine anyway.
Yeah. What do you do? You gonna watch Tiger King for the 100th time?
Minority Report is a legitimately good movie with some interesting ideas. It should appeal to a wide variety of people. Safe bet.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. And like I said, I know some people don't like Tom Cruise. They don't watch his movies, but I'd say it's definitely one of those movies you could watch with him in it, and it's not gonna I don't know. You won't get converted to Scientology. You'll be okay.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, on that note, check out our store, YSGOAT Teepublic store. Get yourself a tea, a mug, get a pillow with the goat logo, different colors and different versions of the logo. Maybe I'll put some other art on there. You can check out my Teepublic store, Rob Israel, and get all different kinds of teas. And then you can check out my Etsy shop for all different kinds of artwork and stickers and prints that I sell. I sell some teas in there too, screen printed ones.
Nice.
Joseph is currently, what are you doing? What do you want to plug? Plug something?
Honestly, I'm in the midst of planning a few different things. This sounds awful. Look, every kid's homeschooled. You and I both have kids in the same school, and it's tough keeping up with their schoolwork diligently. And I'd like to think that there's an angle to play there. So I might be doing stuff like that, but I'm going to focus on just talking movies here.
Hey, feel free to plug my Etsy shop and Teepublic store, and also the YSGOAT Teepublic store. We're talking about maybe getting a Patreon going, and maybe even doing a Twitch live feed. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but I think the Patreon thing might be doable. If you guys have been enjoying listening to our tangents and episodes, we have over 80 episodes at this point.
Yeah.
We might start bringing exclusive content. Joseph will show you how to put a condom on a banana, which I think is really bizarre. That's for the paywall. I don't know why.
Yep. And I do it hands-free. It's written. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey man, people in quarantine are doing weird shit these days. Now, we'll probably take more requests for stuff. Nothing too obscure, but maybe if we can obtain it, we will watch it. And then by obtaining, I mean it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix or something. Well,
it's weird. Every once in a while, we'll get someone comment on on Instagram or on YouTube, or even just send like a private message talking about a particular movie that resonates with them. And I think it might be cool to have like a live feed, maybe take some phone calls or some internet phone calls. I think there's room for some cool things and some fun, and let people get like a little involved in the content that we're producing. And we put it up with a Patreon or a Twitch, and hopefully it works out well for everyone. It seems like it'd be real fun.
Give us your money.
There we go. Yes, also that.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going about
that.
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.